the main topic this week, AEW Full Gear, big pay-per-view. They don't have these too often. So I imagine we're going to get 4 hours on Saturday night for AEW Full Gear.
I'm sure we will.
But one thing I was wondering, and I have no real answer for you, other than personal preference, is so the event is at the Prudential Center, or the Rock, if you will, as they call it, in Newark, New Jersey, and I kind of wondered to myself, why am I not going? I'm not going to be going, but I'm kind of wondering.
I'm kind of shocked because I know it's not that far to your kind of your zone. So
yeah,
your driving zone.
Yeah, and this year, 2022, I went to 2 Impact pay-per-views, one of them being in Poughkeepsie, and I just did the math recently because I was looking at it, and they're the same distance from Syracuse, driving about 3 hours and 20 minutes.
What, Newark is?
To Newark.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like between 3 hours and 20 minutes and 3 hours and 30 minutes to Newark in the Prudential Center. It's outside the city. It's enough outside the city that it can be a half-hour difference. It's definitely in and out much quicker.
Yeah.
That whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
And I was doing the math, and it's, within minutes of distance between Poughkeepsie, where I saw the Impact Rebellion pay-per-view back in April. And and I did notice the pay-per-view where it was months ago, and I thought to myself, that'd be interesting, but nothing ever, and I can still even say nothing is really like jumping out at me that, I really want to go. And it's not any disrespect to this card, but I guess, and it's weird because these Impact pay-per-views, nothing jumped out at me. It was just, I guess my thing is because they were pay-per-view events, and, Impact also doesn't have a lot of pay-per-view events. I just thought to myself, I can see a pay-per-view event. I can see some big names up close. Tickets are going to be pretty cheap. Why not drive the distance? It's like a bona fide indie show, like a supersized indie show. That's what I look at. Like, Impact.
But this is a good card.
This is a good card, and
this
I'm kind of
really
wondering why I didn't make the point. And partially because I'm still trying to hit up Survivor Series maybe next weekend, and I guess the moral of the story is I'm just not there with AEW yet. If it's Rochester, which is a very close, a 90-minute drive. I've gone to the Dynamites that have been there, but I haven't pushed like the Buffalo to go to Dynamite. I haven't pushed to Albany to go to Dynamite. And I guess I'm just not there yet with Impact.
You're still
I wonder
working on
if
it.
I will get there with Impact, you know what I mean? Where I could drive and pay good money to go to these pay-per-views. And I appreciate it being there, but I'm not one of these WWE guys that's, all about, because we know those guys, and there's AEW guys too that are just all about that company and will, everything the other company does, they're watching just to talk crap about it.
Make fun of.
Yeah.
And all that.
And I'm not that guy, but I'm just not that guy yet where I'm really wanting, I guess, to make AEW even appointment viewing.
So you're not going to do what you've done for WWE pay-per-views. Like, you're not going to fly somewhere for an AEW show.
Yeah, no. I'm not driving even to the New York City area yet for an AEW pay-per-view. But I'm wondering, I'm going to have to get there, right, at some point.
Maybe this pay-per-view will kind of push your appetite a little bit. Because, there's 11 quality matches here. You really got some big names. I did watch Dynamite last night. The only part I didn't catch was the part that I wanted to watch was the MJF and Moxley thing. For some reason I just could not stay awake last night. But it was everything else was great. Did you see the music video for the Acclaimed?
I did actually see that. It was the big go home show this week for Full Gear.
What did you make of that? What did you make of the video? I thought it was hilarious.
Anything, so like the Acclaim, they're very entertaining overall. I like everything they do when it comes to like their raps and all that stuff. Talk
about having, almost a 60-year-old Billy Gunn still rejuvenated. It looks like he's rejuvenated. He looks like a kid there right now.
No, I won't lie. Like the Billy Gunn stuff, it's just a little, I don't know if that kind of turns me off. I think Billy Gunn and
really?
all of this.
I love it. I think it's great. I think it's great that Billy Gunn, he seems like he's having so much fun.
No,
right
it does.
Now.
It seems like he's having fun and stuff, but I think, some of the stuff that people get on WWE about, and that's kind of reminds me a little of Billy Gunn with, like, I guess, the silliness a little too much. I think if I have to hear "Scissor Me, Daddy" one more time,
I love it. I'm looking forward to it every time I hear it. I'm all in. It's like this generation's Suck It. You know what I mean? Like, kids are going to do the whole scissor me thing at school and they're going to get in trouble.
Thank goodness I don't. Yeah, now as somebody older, I don't have any kids yet, but that would.
Yeah. I don't want to deal with that with my two kids. I'm not trying to I'm not going to instill that, but they are wrestling fans already. They will sit up and watch a little bit of wrestling with their dad. So, the next I gotta cultivate the next generation of wrestling fans. Like, we're not going to be here forever. So you gotta, I got two girls at home. I want them to, watch certain things. Like my wife watches certain female. She's obviously as a woman, she wants to watch more of the female wrestlers. So she tries to put, So I want to see, my kids, and maybe someday they want to do, they want to be the next, I don't know, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. You know what I mean? So, speaking of that, I want to ask you about that match. I mean, that's
I'm very interested to see how Soraya, or Paige, if you will,
Soraya.
She's
gonna get you. She's gonna get on you on Twitter about that one because it's a. I guess they call her Rhea.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, okay, why don't we just finish it? So there's only one little extra sound
to it.
So
Soraya and Dr. Britt Baker, in this match, it's going to obviously be all about Soraya, aka Paige, and her return to the ring. I'm interested in this. No, there's definitely no doubt about that.
She's going to win, right?
I can't see her not winning. I'm just
Probably
very curious what it looks like. That's more or less. I mean, that's kind of what wrestling is in general. You just want to know what it looks like. See what she looks like out there.
So what are we doing?
I'm not going to be, and I hate these people. Here's the thing. I hate these people that say, you've still got it, when they haven't really done anything yet. Like, if she's really doing, it's like 20 minutes into this match, you're going, wow. But I mean,
if she hits like one move,
I guess my thing, with like the Stone Cold at WrestleMania thing, where like he hadn't even done anything yet, and people are like, you still got it. And it's like,
how does he still have it when he hasn't done it?
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just, I'm not trying to disrespect wrestling. You go there, you want to have a good time and stuff. But people are just like waiting. They're just like pre-planning to be like, all right, this is when we yell, this is awesome. This is when we yell, holy shit. This is when we yell, you still got it. Like, so were they doing that? And I don't remember. Were they doing that in the Flair last match? I really hope they weren't.
Well, actually, I'm glad you're mentioning that, because why don't we just bang that Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal thing again here? I mean, why the hell not?
Hey, I think Sting is looking like a young man in that match. Sting and Darby Allin, that tag team is looking a lot younger than they are in comparison to them the last time they were out. Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett against Ric Flair.
Yeah, Old Man Rivers. Yeah. I mean, let me ask you this: how do you feel about Jeff Jarrett's? Okay, let me start this over real quick. Jeff Jarrett is essentially he actually has like the same exact job that he had in WWE, and now he's in AEW. But the only difference I see is that he has an on-camera person. Mm-hmm. Like, he's an on-air more as a character.
No, I like this.
Do you like it?
This reminds me of something WWE would definitely pull out for like a WrestleMania. Obviously not with Jay Lethal and Darby Allin. They'd have their own guys in there. But, Jeff Jarrett and Sting, essentially two WCW mainstays, this tag team of Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal getting its footing in the Ric Flair last match thing. So you're doing a lot of cross promoting. So, as a special attraction, yeah, I really do like this. And I like this too for non-AEW fans, because it puts these two legends together, whom I think still have it much more than like a Ric Flair still has it for sure. I think Sting can definitely go. Jeff Jarrett can definitely go, probably even the most.
I mean, I did see Jeff Jarrett at that Ric Flair's last match. I thought for being a little bit older than older gentleman that he is, not Ric Flair old, but he's older. He's not a spring chicken anymore. I thought he looked pretty good. I mean, I think what's going to happen, and I think this is very predictable. I think this is how this works. You get Jeff Jarrett, elder statesman, Sting, elder statesman, with two guys that are, I wouldn't say Jay Lethal's in his prime because he's a little bit older, but he still can go. Darby Allin's getting to his prime. So I think Jay Lethal and Darby Allin are going to carry the match. I don't think that's a crazy assumption.
But I mean, I still think especially Jeff Jarrett, he still has it, I think, or he's got some of it. I don't think nobody has exactly what you had in the prime of your career.
It's not going to be 1990s Jeff
But
Jarrett.
I've never, when Jeff Jarrett, when his music hit a couple years ago at the Royal Rumble and stuff like that, I didn't think like when a Ric Flair comes out, or like even an Undertaker comes out, where I go, oh, here they come again. Like I didn't think that when Jeff Jarrett came out,
because Jeff Jarrett keeps himself in great shape.
Yeah,
he's definitely one of those guys. He doesn't, and no dissing on Road Dogg, because we love Road Dogg, but I've seen Road Dogg recently, and if you've heard him on his podcast, he does make fun of the way he's aged. He's gotten a little bit heavier. Like, it'd be like Road Dogg, like some of the eye rolls you would get from fans at Royal Rumble would be like, all right, Road Dogg can barely get down the ramp.
Or even like, back in the day when they were like lugging out Roddy Piper out there, and even Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I remember Roddy Piper, and I think the big thing is a lot of these people out there, like the Bret Harts of the world, had major career-ending injuries and situations, and where
Bret Hart still talks about Goldberg. So
yeah, well, and
I mean, can't blame him.
they had things in which you knew that, like with Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? You know that there's certain things that they can't do, and Jeff Jarrett, I don't, to my knowledge, think that he doesn't have like a fake hip or any of those kind of things where like he has to pretend when he's out there.
Yeah, I know. I think for being a little bit older, I would say he's probably. I mean, obviously he's not. He's not 1990s, early 2000s shape, but he's probably serviceable enough at this point where in his peak, hell of a wrestler. At a little bit older, I think he can still put on a quality match.
And then that's why I'm looking forward to this match. Another match I'm actually looking forward to. This has been kind of too long, I think. And this is the issue I guess you do have when you have pay-per-views spread out for so long. You would think this is a WrestleMania caliber match. And I've seen WrestleMania matches have way less, I guess, build in this. Because I remember them starting to build this when I went to AEW in Rochester in July. And now here we are in November.
Yeah.
Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy inside of a steel cage. They've been building that one for quite a while now. We've seen Christian kind of get in there.
I don't mind it. I like these longer blowouts, so to speak. Like now the payoff's going to happen. We're going to see who wins. I've always harped on WWE and AEW to do like not great storytelling, or they don't book it right, where they're not building a story. This is great. I mean, are they both high level main event players at this point? No. But this is a quality mid-card long-term storyline that's going to, I think the final payoff is going to happen in this steel cage match. You would think. I don't know if they're going to do this whole trilogy thing, but you never know these days. So either way, I think it's still going to be a good match. Luchasaurus is a hell of a competitor, and Jungle Boy, I feel like as he gets more reps, I just feel like he's just getting so much better every single time. He's a natural in the ring. He's charismatic. I mean, he gets the charisma from his late father. So the kid's got a lot of potential, going forward. I think he could be one of the pillars in AEW going forward. I think Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, he's a great competitor. Luchasaurus, same thing. I mean, he was a WWE. It's funny. Luchasaurus was like a WWE reject turned into a monster in AEW. It worked out for him. And let me ask you this. This whole card's pretty good.
Well, you want to talk about long-term storytelling. I guess it's not so much storytelling as just long-term in general. And that's Jade Cargill, the first ever AEW TBS champion, still champion against Nyla Rose. Do you see her leaving this pay-per-view as still the TBS champion?
Yes, I do. I don't see Nyla winning. I just don't. I think Jade Cargill, I think they're just going to keep the belt on her for as long as possible at this point. I just don't see it happening. I think what they're building with her is she's one of the most dominant female wrestlers in the world right now.
Do you see, and this is going to sound a little controversial, and I understand wrestling fans the way that they are, and I understand people the way they are, and I know AEW is one of those ones where they kind of bring on the controversy a little bit more. They try to go out of their way to be so accepting, I guess is the best way to put it. They seem to be, I don't want to, put any label, but they just, they're not like WWE, who's a little more old school, a little more of the old boys club versus like an AEW, which is run by a 30-year-old man who is going out of his way to, be all inclusive, even when they're not even asking him to be all inclusive, that kind of thing, just, being forthright with it. But do you think there would be any sort of controversy? I guess I'll put it that without, having to put out personal opinions here or anything like that.
Yeah.
If Nyla Rose was the one to beat Jade Cargill, because, Jade Cargill has been champion this whole time, and she is a very and that is what they're presenting. They're presenting like the China character. And
yeah,
I wonder if there would be any sort, not controversy, it's AEW, it's wrestling, people don't pay that close attention to it, but would just think maybe there would be
some blowback.
Oh, just like the idea of like, because we
all know Nyla Rose's background.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just feel that like with Jade Cargill, she has accomplished so much and done so much for, like I said, the China character.
So you think having Nyla Rose beat her, you think it would diminish anything? Is that what you're getting at?
I mean, I just feel like if when you have someone beat her, I don't want it to be anyone that even the most close-minded person could even say, well, they weren't necessarily on the most even of playing field. I would like a Britt Baker, a Saraya, Tony Storm, one of those kinds of females to be the one to beat her, because then what it does is it brings Jade Cargill down to their level and brings them up to her level. So we don't have this, and we can't deny. I mean, back in the day, China, of all people, was being toyed around for being a world champion. They had her in the ring with the Jeff Jarretts. They had her in the ring with Chris Jericho because they knew which kind of, specimen she was. They knew that she was up there with those people, and it kind of brought the Ivories and the Litas of the world. Like if China just demolished everybody, then it would, I think, diminish Lita's, Trish Stratus's, and the people, Ivories, that she contended with. So having those people then beat her, brought them up to her level so that they could say she is the Brock Lesnar of the women's division, but she's not in her own division.
I'll just say this.
Brock Lesnar gets defeated. Brock Lesnar is the alpha male, but the good news is on occasion you have one of these non-Brock Lesnars defeat him so that you can still say,
let's keep it simple.
Jade
Cargill is winning the match. I think that's, I don't want to beat down that drum because everybody has their own opinions, and everybody I'm open to anyone's opinions, whether we agree with it or not. Mm-hmm. I would say, just for argument's sake, just throwing that out there, I think Jade Cargill is going to win.
Yeah, because I just don't see. I feel like this isn't the Undertaker streak, but this is something that you've been building up for so long that I'm very.
I would rather. And here's the thing: it has nothing to do with Nyla Rose's background, by the way. I'm just going to say this. I would rather see somebody like a Britt Baker or a Tony Storm or even a Jamie Hayter.
A much more built up match, I guess, too.
Yeah, and built up match. But I would rather see one of them, defeat end the streak, so to speak, because it would be so less expected. I think Nyla Rose. I mean, she is the native beast, as we know. Mm-hmm. She and Jade Cargill. I mean, I think it's an even matchup. Regardless of the other optics, I guess. Mm-hmm. I just think if Nyla wins, it's kind of like, well, it's not surprising because she is the native beast. Yeah. So to me, I think it would be a bigger upset and a bigger story if Britt Baker or like a Tony Storm.
And I think that's kind of what I was getting at too, is that, if she lost, you kind of don't want to see her lose like on a more even playing field, because I feel like that's kind of a waste of all of this. You want to see a better story.
You want a David versus Goliath.
Not necessarily a David versus Goliath, as you just...
It would be if it was Britt Baker or Tony Storm.
You just want to be able to see some of... It's not so much David versus Goliath as much as it's seeing David realizing that they have Goliath in them as well. I guess that's the only thing. You don't want anybody to kind of just dominate over the division. A lot of people didn't like that about Brock Lesnar, in WWE, how he just dominated over the division. And that's kind of why a lot of people like wrestling, and they like things like Rey Mysterio winning the world heavyweight belt, because it puts them on the same playing field as the Big Shows and the Brock Lesnars and the Undertakers.
Who doesn't like an underdog story? I'll just say that I'm a huge fan of that as a sports fanatic, and when it comes to like sports movies, the underdog is going to win, but you're still looking.
I don't think Jade Cargill's losing this until she gives it up after winning the world belt. That's what I think. I think they're definitely doing the Goldberg character with her here, and I think she's just keeping on going until she then trades this in for the world belt.
I got to ask you. I think the match of the night, to me, is going to be Death Triangle and the Elite.
Okay, so then we talk about that right now here. The 6-man tag match for the Trios Championship. Obviously, Death Triangle defended it this past week on Dynamite, and then they essentially called out without naming names, and then on the scoreboard in the spot where it shows their opponent,
cheesy
up came
review.
The Elite,
cheesy
which is
review, by the
Omega and the Young Bucks. So I guess my question is
hold on, before you get to your question, not to cut you off, what did you think of the review? That's
the question. My thing is, like, shouldn't we have just waited? Shouldn't they have just come out and said, this is an open challenge?
And then they come out and you hear the music hit
you. know it, but I guess it's just so much of a build for them to just give it up.
Change the graphic? The whole graphic, it was just...
It was. I mean, we knew where it was going in these weeks. These You know,
Yeah.
I think about it from the Bray Wyatt perspective, because this was obviously being compared a little bit to the Bray Wyatt perspective, right? And these little cryptic messages that have been leading up. Imagine if right before Extreme Rules, instead of another cryptic message, they just said, "Oh yeah, Bray Wyatt will be there." Like,
it takes the element of surprise out.
We knew Bray Wyatt was probably going to be there, but you like the road that we went on, and you knew the Elite was going to be at this pay-per-view. But I like the road we were going on. Now you just revealed they're going to be there. You could have just done that a couple weeks ago.
That matchup's going to be fun, and you know,
I'll see how much ring rust apparently they have. You know, from being out for a little bit.
I'm sure they've been working.
It's a 6-man tag, so you don't have to show off too much.
I'm not worried about it because I'm sure they've been working out together anyways in the ring. I'm sure they have a personal ring at their house or nearby in a gym. So I'm not concerned about the whole ring rust thing. I will say though, when Death Triangle, when they had their match this past weekend or this past week on Dynamite, I gotta tell you, Top Flight, AR Fox, those fellas are good. I mean. You got to see so much of their talent showcase this past week. I haven't watched enough of their matches, but I was able to sit down and watch that match.
I've seen AR Fox a bunch back in the day in the in the Indies.
I mean, he's been he's a known commodity. I've actually never seen him in person.
I've seen
some of his stuff before. I've seen
him
his
do
stuff
some.
online.
I saw him at the last without the reunion show, but the last official AEW show. Here in Syracuse, he got up on the basketball
2CW.
Yeah, he got on the basketball hoop. And the fun thing about this basketball hoop, this isn't one of those ones that's connected to the ground that you can climb up. Like it's actually attached to the wall, and there's like not really a great way to. So he had to really like kind of like jump to reach the backboard, to like grab onto it, and then do like a pull himself up,
which is tough to do.
Yeah, and then pulled himself up onto it, and then got on top of the basketball hoop and did a sweet backflip off the basketball hoop. You know,
yeah. I mean, I knew about his accolades, like being on the Independents for so long. I had to point that out because we were talking that the 6-man the trios tag team trios championship match. I had to mention them. I think Top Flight's a future tag team. They're going to be one of those teams that you're going to talk about for a long time. But I have to ask you. I mean, do the Elite, are they going to get punished and take the L, or are they winning?
You know, I don't even know if they ever really so much got punished. You know, they
were away, man.
They were away, but I mean, they're bringing them back like I guess
the great reveal that was awesome.
I mean, punishment would be to, I guess, really punish them even if they went away. But the fact that they're coming back is just doing more for them. It's like, you know, they went away to get, you know, this big reveal, I guess, and to get more out of it and to really show how much, you know, like it'd be like, you know, the Undertaker every year showing up WrestleMania. You're like, well, he was punished. He wasn't allowed to show up for SmackDown for the last couple of weeks.
So let me ask you this, because I know obviously we've talked about the whole CM Punk situation that obviously involved the members of the Elite. So I know in that Ring of Honor match recently, Ring of Honor Championship match with Jericho, where they had what's his face there, one of CM Punk's old buddies there.
Colt Cabana,
thank you. That kind of showed where AEW stands on CM Punk.
I think he's being punished. And I think the difference is because if he came back, I don't know if they'd give him the big hero's welcome like they've been hiding him in the shadows this whole time.
But here's the thing. To that point, doesn't that kind of make you feel like the Elite, like if the Elite wins, isn't that a statement to kind of go like up yours, CM Punk?
I mean, definitely. I think, like I said, the Elite coming back, they got a huge pop on Dynamite to come back. It wasn't like a boo, like, you know, we don't want to see you, that kind of thing.
Everything that has come out since has not made them look like crap. You know,
I think CM Punk, if his face showed up in a mystery spot, I think it would get boos, and I think it would be strange. I don't see them bringing him back, like I said, giving him the hero's return.
Not to jump too far out of the AEW pool, I just want to put this out there. CM Punk is not going to any other promotion at this point, okay? That's like he's not, like there's been leaks of...
at least, he'll go to MMA and do some commentary.
Yeah, like that was like a third, fourth tier. I've never even heard of it, honestly. Like I'm like, is this like double A Bellator, whatever? I don't know it that well, so I'm not trying to insult the MMA community, but like to me, it's like, is that a step back?
For somebody who used to always talk about they don't need the money, they sure do a lot of stuff
to make money.
That's like you see, like this isn't UFC, so what is he doing there?
I'm sure they're paying him well enough. It's CM Punk, but so who do you got in that match then? Do you have the Elite or do you have Death
I
Triangle?
do.
I think the Elite wins.
I guess it's going to be interesting to see who does win, because I guess you can make a lot of inferences about punishment and stuff like that based on who they give the winner to.
I don't care who wins this match. It's going to be a great match anyways. I know I just keep going back and forth, but I mean, at this point, I feel like I have to lean the Elite. I think it would be funny because it would kind of be like an up yours to CM Punk. Now, some other matches that I want to talk about.
Talk about the two matches that involve big guys, I guess, if you will. We got the triple threat for the AEW TNT Championship, which is Wardlow, Samoa Joe, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Another big Haas match, if you will. Wardlow is currently the TNT champion. Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. Don't forget the Samoa Joe is currently the Ring of Honor television champion. And Powerhouse Hobbs, and they were all, going all around for this, but this is for the AEW TNT Championship for the time being. And who do you see coming out here with the AEW TNT Championship?
I see Wardlow retaining. I don't think he loses this match. I think AEW, if they're smart, they're gonna do almost like a Goldberg effect with this championship for him. I just think Wardlow he's money. And if AEW doesn't do enough with him, I don't know what his contract situation is, but WWE is looking at Wardlow.
Lance Archer and Ricky Starks are going to face off on Rampage on Friday night, with the winner then facing Brian Cage in the pre-show on Saturday night to determine then who faces Ethan Page this upcoming Wednesday on Dynamite in the AEW World Championship Eliminator, if you will, tournament. Like I said, Brian Cage is already, or Ethan Page is already in the finals.
So why the hell is this even on a pay-per-view?
Well, it's technically not. I mean, it's on the pre-show.
But it's still,
so you have,
why the hell is it on there?
Why don't you just save it all for, why isn't Lance Archer and
Put it on Dynamites or put it on Rampage?
Lance Archer and Ricky Starks could have faced off on Dynamite this week. Brian Cage could face Ricky Starks on Rampage, or whoever the winner is, let's say. And then the championship could be on Dynamite.
So out of the three, who are you picking?
I'm taking Brian Cage. I think I'm taking Brian Cage to win whoever, Lance Archer or Ricky Starks, and then Ethan Page and Brian Cage to impact the alumni, if you will, to an extent. I'm taking Ethan Page.
I'll take Cage for this one, and then
you taking Cage all the way or no? Let's move on to Dynamite next week. You taking Cage? Who you taking? Who's essentially going to face the world champion? In the upcoming week.
Brian Cage.
Remember the push they gave Brian Cage when not near the beginning of it, but near the beginning of AEW, I guess. And then remember he left?
Yeah, he was gone for a minute.
He was gone for a minute. I saw him win the XPW World Championship here in Rochester. And now he's back in the good graces of AEW.
The other question is, what the hell are they doing with Lance Archer and Ricky Starks? I mean, those guys are both talented dudes. It's just another reason that the AEW locker room is just too full. Because Ricky Starks, to me, I've said this in the past. Ricky Starks is money. Lance Archer.
That's why it's weird when you say, and it's not disrespect to you, but it's weird when you say, somebody's going to be the future of, like a Jungle Boy is like the real future of AEW. I don't really know who the future of AEW is because they got a lot of futures.
And I know, but I'm telling you, I just got to feel. I mean, Jungle Boy,
got a
and
lot
Ricky
of people
Starks.
that look like they're going to be in the world title picture next week, and then you see Lance Archer.
But here's the thing: I don't mind them working their way up. So I mean, Ricky Starks to me and Jack Perry, they're young enough competitors where I think you can keep building them up. I think a guy like Lance Archer, who's a little bit longer in the tooth. Brian Cage, I don't know how old he is. He's got to be longer in the tooth too. He's been
absolutely. Like a Jack Perry's got lots of time, but like a Lance Archer, if he's not
future
if he's not main eventing this pay per view with John Moxley right now for the championship, then I don't like when is he gonna what has he got more to prove?
I mean, I'll just say this. I just think I don't think MJF's gonna be a pillar in AEW because I don't think he's in AEW in a couple of years. I just don't see it.
Well, MJF, I don't think he's confirmed recently. I think there's been chat about if he's signed extensions in this whole 9 yards. I think he has said he hasn't, or no comment, or
no. He said he still talks about the bidding war of 2024. So I don't think that's changed. Now, before we get to the MJF John Moxley, I do have to ask you about Toni Storm because we mentioned her a little bit versus Jamie Hayter. I mean, again, I don't like this interim stuff.
Yeah.
Just make them the champion. What is with this stuff? To me, it just makes no sense to me. It'll still probably be a decent match because Storm and Hayter are both very capable wrestlers. Who do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you about the interim crap.
Who likes that? I don't think anybody likes that. I think that's kind of
AEW has
universal.
been really beating. It's one thing if you do it every so often, but AEW has been doing a lot
Get
lately.
rid of it.
Yeah, 2022 in AEW has been the year of the interim champion.
Yeah. Ugh.
I gotta say, Toni Storm, she's still the name.
Yeah, she's still rolling. I'm with you on that. Now, what about the Acclaimed? I know we touched on that a little bit with the video. The Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory. I still got to go with the Acclaimed. I think based off of just how popular they are and how over they are, I think it's almost in that situation. It's going to be if the Acclaimed doesn't win, we riot kind of a situation because they are so over right now.
They are, but I think Swerve in Our Glory probably needs it a little bit more, and I don't think that any this stuff is going to end.
I think they're going to drag this out more?
Yeah, and I think Swerve in Our Glory is going to get the championship.
I hope not, because I love the Acclaimed.
Acclaim doesn't really need the championship.
No, you're right. You're right. They don't need it. I just don't want it on Swerve in Our Glory. I just don't. To me, it's kind of like a hodgepodge tag team for me. It's just like two.
Can Keith Lee go back to WWE now, and now his wife's back there? I mean, Triple H is in charge. Maybe we could just get him out of,
Get him out of this bad tag team.
Yeah, I guess
I just don't care. I never.
I guess I feel bad for
Glory.
Swerve Strickland because he'd be stuck there. But
yeah, he's stuck because if he would have waited it out, he would be on SmackDown right now.
Yeah, I mean, because Hit Row is back. So
no, I think you're right. I think Swerve in Our Glory probably needs it more. I think you're right on that.
Yeah, because if they don't, I mean, again, we all know all the scripted nature of wrestling, but if they don't win the championship, you got to think to themselves, like the Keith Lees and the Swerve Stricklands are like, yeah, maybe we should have waited this out.
But I will. You know what though? Now that you say that,
I mean, because we think about like the FTRs of the world, right?
Well, here's the thing: Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland have had their issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this could be a perfect time for a breakup. I guess I'll leave it at that.
I just think that those two came to AEW, and when they came to AEW, Keith Lee specifically, I think they said, we're going to be treated well here. We're going to be,
and they haven't been treated any different. I don't feel like they've been kind of they're in catering, so to speak.
Yeah, they're not in the main event,
but they're still getting TV time, which maybe
they're getting TV time for sure, but they're not in the main event. They're not none of these people specifically, like Keith Lee. Yeah, he has like a bring in, like WWE brings in Bray Wyatt. You know what I mean? Like they bring him in like that. Like they sometimes sell a pay-per-view on some of these debuts, and yet here you are. I mean,
I feel like what's happened is like they AEW brought in so many of these like WWE cut releases. And, at first it was like they're the next hottest thing. Like Keith Lee, for the first couple weeks, people were like, yeah, Keith Lee, let's go, baby.
Keith Lee, Samoa Joe, world title on the line.
Let's go. And like as it's settled in, and it's not a detriment to Keith Lee, it's just the way AEW is booking him. I just think he's almost becoming an afterthought, which I
would rather see Keith Lee with Wardlow and Samoa Joe and Powerhouse Hobbs. I'd rather see him in that feud.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I just think because in WWE they didn't really use him as a tag team because I feel like that's not his thing,
No.
And I still feel the same way here, especially too when you bring him in as an individual and you build him up as that individual to then have him just in a tag team. AEW fans may say they like what they like or they disagree, which is fine, but I think. Keith Lee's popularity got to where it is based on his individual performances.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the AEW diehards have to notice that. I don't know. I mean, some of the AEW diehards, especially on the internet, it's kind of some of their takes are just a little ridiculous.
Another MMA, I think, right? Commentator I saw him recently, Sammy Guevara, doing some commentary for I think was it MMA or was it was something of another.
I honestly, this is news to me. I didn't know about it.
But he's in the Fatal 4-Way match for the ROH World Championship. This is on the line as it is every day. Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, and Claudio Gastonoli versus Sammy Guevara. The four of them.
I know who's winning this one.
You think Jericho's just leaving with the belt?
Nope, Bryan Danielson. Let's go.
Bryan Danielson getting the World Championship for the first time since many, many moons ago.
Yes.
Yeah,
he put a few stops along the way.
he put Ring of Honor on the map, so to say. Him and Claudio Gastonoli, but mostly him.
I would. I think it would be a nice full circle moment. I think the craziest spot of this match is going to be Sammy Guevara because he's loco anyway. So, but I do think Bryan Danielson is going to win. Who do you got? Who do you got in this match?
Yeah, I can't not pick Bryan Danielson, right? I mean, it's kind of like that. Restoring, and I think too, if obviously early 2023 is the idea of bringing TV to Ring of Honor, somebody like Bryan Danielson, who was on the cover of all of your original DVDs.
Plus,
would be the man
he's
to do it.
He's the guy who carried the flag for so long there. And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's on the cover of all those 06, 07, 08 DVDs
and Chris
of Ring of Honor.
Chris Jericho kind of just spits in the face of Ring of Honor. He's just like, yeah, it's not a belt for me. He doesn't care. So I mean, it's it's good that Chris is doing it the way he is. I mean, obviously, it's just a good heel persona. So I think Bryan Danielson with how much he's beloved, not only obviously in AEW, every other promotion he's ever been in, but particularly, like you said, he built himself up in this business in Ring of Honor. So full circle for me, Bryan Danielson's got to walk away with that belt.
And it's funny that you bring that up because I'm thinking there one other point I could bring. If he was going to ever go anywhere, here's the thing: if you're going to have him go anywhere, specifically, and not while it's part of this AEW, I understand it's own, but I mean not as it's a joint TV show. You want to bring back CM Punk, you put him in Ring of Honor, and that's his best shot at having some sort of decent finality to his career.
A little redemption, maybe?
I think WWE, that's not obviously going to do it.
No,
it's just going to be more nonsense like we have in the mainstream, and bring him back to where, just like Bryan Danielson, like bring, if you want to kick off this TV show, kick it off with the guy who pretty much put the value in the Ring of Honor.
I think CM Punk's done. I don't think we see CM Punk in a wrestling.
Yeah, that's just a hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it happens. Now,
Moxley, MJF, main event.
Oof.
What do we got here? Is this, speaking of CM Punk, is that kind of like this thing here? He wins the belt and he runs out through the crowd kind of nonsense? Or, does Moxley retain? MJF, he's been pretty good with his promos lately. He's been very entertaining.
Whoa, hold on. Back the tracks up. Promos lately? Promos all the time.
You're correct. You are correct.
Come on, lately. To build. I think
since his return at the last pay-per-view.
I will say you're right to that part. Lately, in regards to the build to this match, yes. Overall, obviously, he's one of the best mouthpieces in the game today. MJF is walking away champion, and it's going to be fantastic because he is better than you, and you know it.
So, do you see him leaving with the belt?
Yes. Yes. I love Mox, but given everything that's been going on, and you don't know they might be thinking future booking. Maybe Tony has something in his head where he's like, I want to get the belt on this kid before he's out of here in 2024.
No, and you know what? I think I understand this isn't the end all of 2022 yet, but
sure,
no better way, I think, for AEW to really kind of change things up because
shake
I
it
feel
up,
like
baby.
They're getting a little stagnant with the people they got, the head of the company and having the world titles and all the other belts. I feel like it's feeling a little not as changeable. Sure. WWE obviously, AEW goes off on the whole we're better pro wrestling, but I think nothing would really kind of change things up and put an intrigue. Like, when the CM Punks of the world came back that really got people to get their eyeballs on it, than having like the MJF be your world champion. I just think that would be...
It would be
because he doesn't fit
fantastic.
the mold of like the Bryan Danielson wrestler, you know what I mean? Or like even like the John Moxley wrestler, but he has the Hangman Page wrestler.
He's good all around though. His all around skill set is he phenomenal? Like, is he a technician in the ring? No, but I think he's every time I watch MJF in the ring, I see him getting I think he's already good in the ring anyways, but he's getting better every single time.
Not just in the ring though, but he's got
he's got the whole package.
He's got that, and I don't want to downplay and say the Miz thing, but he's got the Miz and the Rock and like all of these other sports entertainment elements.
But he's already ahead of where Miz was,
and and that's why I think it'd be great because you're going to have somebody that's a little more entertaining. It's great to have a 45-minute world championship match, and I'm not saying that he can or cannot do that, but I'm saying that what is more than that though was having somebody, and then like what you got when you had the Miz as world champion. You didn't have what you have now with Roman Reigns as world champion, and that's what you similarly have in AEW. You just have these guys who were just like, you can't beat me. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna be the wild thing. I'm gonna be the wild man. I'm gonna take extreme to the next level and pain to the next limit. But MJF, he's got that more sports entertainment side to him that I think AEW hasn't had yet in their world champion.
And it's going to be a beautiful thing when he gets that title.
So AEW Full Gear this Saturday, and as long as our review was, it's not going to be nearly as long as the pay-per-view.
Let's go this. Over, under, 4 hours.
Over.
I'm with you. Over 4 hours. I think it's close to 5.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday night, that they're going to push this thing to like 12:30.
Yeah, it's going to be a late night.